Hello, good morning. Happy Sunday. Hopefully you're all doing good. Hopefully your weather is doing okay wherever you are. For us, it is just not snowing. There's been like one day of snow this I guess it's still fall, but this late fall, and it's kind of surprising. So even though it's like been like 10 degrees outside. All right, so today we're going to be continuing to work on this point collector API. And I think, let's see, what did I want to do with it? Right, I wanted to start working on integrating some like database stuff in, and then potentially also getting some like login things going. Which I don't know if we're going to be able to do the login stuff part of today, but we'll see how far we get. So as a review of the project, this is like a point collector, very similar to like the Twitch, what is it called? These channel points, hi, what? Come here. No, you don't want to? Okay. That's not what you want. Oh, you probably want this stuff. Okay, I can. Well, don't throw it into the wall. Okay, so where was I? When he comes back, we'll see him. Okay, so it's gonna be sort of like channel point type things, but I want this to work across both Twitch and YouTube. So that's sort of like the idea of this. We've decided, I think last time, maybe the time before, that this is going to be a browser extension that's going to sort of like, we're probably going to focus on Firefox and Chrome, and then I don't think we're going to get into Safari, but we'll see. I don't even know if any of you use Safari, so if you do, let me know. And then when you go to like a YouTube page to like look at the video, or you go to like the Twitch page, or eventually like maybe my website, and you have the extension and you're logged in, then you will get, you'll start like accruing these points. So the extension will be sending API requests to this API and say, hey, you're this person's here. So what I want to do is start like integrating like the database side of things. Right now we have this like point collector API. I think what I want to do is move everything into one folder deeper, which I think is going to help out a little bit when it comes to, well, just having like Docker stuff going on in here. Maybe also we'll just turn this into a monorepo for this project. I don't know. We'll have to decide about that later. All right, but with that being said, let's go ahead and I'm gonna make a directory for the actual API. So we'll just call this API, and it's like super hard to see, but we have our dots. That's like .git, that we don't care about that. Target and source we do care about. So really I want to move our cargo.star. Git ignore can probably stay here. License can stay here. README can stay here. So just source and target, and you can all go to API. All of that heads off into here. Now, if I cd back into API, then if I try to run this, that should still work. I may need to turn this into a workspace or something like that. Okay, so we've got everything working here. If we try to hit this, we should still, we get our data back. Okay, so the server's working. Excellent. If I come in here, are you working for me, Rust Analyzer? It's maybe it's thinking about it. Okay, so let's say I create an error. If I just do that, there we go. Okay, so I'm getting some stuff. Nice. All right, now we have like a bunch of Git related stuff because we moved our git ignore, so we have to update that too. So we have target. I'm going to move this into that, so it just searches for things in there. I mean, okay. I don't think I need to do any of that stuff. And that should drop this list down back to something that makes sense. Yeah, now it shows that we're deleting things and adding them into that folder. Okay, perfect. I just add all of you. And for our commit messaged. All right, good for now. Now let's create like a Docker system for this. So we're gonna do git, not git, make directory. Also make this full screen here. Okay, so make dir, what are we gonna call this? Maybe like the database stuff. This may or may not be the dev database stuff too. It's probably going to be dev. Because like the real database wouldn't be spun up by this, and I don't plan on having the actual database running in a Docker container, just for development purposes. So we'll just call this like a database for right now, because we'll have things related to the database in here. So what do we need? We need like an init .sql file. We need actually a Docker file probably to spin things up, and a Docker compose also. We are planning on using Hasura and GraphQL. Well, Hasura gives us GraphQL, so we're really planning on using Postgres and then Hasura, and then connecting this API to the database that way. So let's see, how do we want to do this? Vector, probably we can just start slowly by building things up. I think we already have like Postgres, don't need to do anything custom with it. I don't even know if we need a Docker file. We may just be able to get away with a Docker compose. And then every single time I do this, I have to remind myself how to do it. So Docker compose reference. We are going to be using version 3.8. Okay, so I guess. Do you have any examples? Not that I see on the right here. I don't necessarily know. I think this is how we start. Also 3.9. Okay. I guess there's a 3.9 now. Okay. Oh, file structure. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. So we'll have to do like this version 3.9. I'm going to go ahead and move this over to the right. All right, so what are we going to do here? We're going to say, go into the database. Let's touch. This is Docker. Is it just going to be called Docker Compose? I wonder, does the... do you say what the file name needs to be? I know I can always do -f and then like give it the actual name of the file. Okay, here it is. docker-compose.yaml. So open you up and let's get started. So version 3.9 apparently. We'll see if that works. Then we're gonna have our services. I'm going to just deactivate Docker Compose. GitHub Copilot for right now. It's just been annoying recently for me, like suggesting things that are not really that helpful. I'm probably not doing the right kind of projects with it. Okay, so then we can give the actual service that we're looking to set up here. So right now, this is going to be the database first. So we'll just call this database. Inside of it, okay, then we get to say where we're coming from. If it's an image, if it's our own Docker file, then it would be something like I think a build instead of image. So image, we are going to use Postgres, but we want to make sure we use the latest one, but probably also tie it to a specific version. Let's see, what are you tag wise? Looks like 9. So we've got 9.6 bullseye. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh man, the log4j thing is everywhere. I'm actually happy that Docker's adding this in for us. So we got 9.6 bullseye. Or the 9 bullseye. I guess we could use 9 bullseye and get the minor updates. Oh, wait. 11. Okay, hold on. I hate that like the order that those shows aren't the actual like latest versions. I want to go to like Postgres's website and actually take a look. What is the most recent version that they've released? 14, it looks like. So I guess we'll just go to 14 and then we'll get minor updates. Meggle1, hello. Does Rust protect from things which enabled log4j exploit? So I am not like super familiar with the log4j exploit. Like I've just been hearing little things here and there, but from what I understand, log4j does like some authenticated searches into like logs and like LDAP and Active Directory and other weird things like that, which basically allows you to like, I mean, get in and do bad things. You can still do bad things with Rust. Like if I were to like accept in my API a arbitrary code and like pass that along to another system, then I could probably cause a log4j style exploit. What Rust does protect us from is like anything that's going to cause memory, like memory exploits. So I don't know if it would protect us fully from log4j type things, or if I mean, I guess like the end result is we still are going to have exploits with Rust. It just, hopefully the severity of them won't be so bad and it won't be like memory based. That being said, I use liberal use of unsafe, and you totally can create those. So does that answer your question? Basically, it's like, I'm unfortunately not an expert in log4j, and we don't have it at my work. We're just so I've not been having to worry about it. Let's see. We're gonna go with 14 here. Okay, so back to you. Image is gonna be recalled Postgres. Postgres 14. Then, okay, so we can give it a data volume, but I kind of don't know if this makes sense. No, actually, I think it does make sense. We need to hand it an init. Okay, so it's gonna be here. Inside of database, we need to touch an init.sql. Because the Postgres Docker Hub here basically says something really interesting, which is if we put a init.sql file in a specific directory, then it's going to auto build stuff. It's going to like auto sync init the database. I just need to find exactly where it says that. So environment variables, we'll need to set those up too. Okay, PG data. Okay, here it is. Postgres initdb recommends a subdirectory be created contain. Oh wait, is that true? No. Oh, initialization scripts. Here we go. If you would like to do additional initialization in the image derived from this one, add one or more .sql scripts or even just bash scripts under docker entry point initdb.d. Okay, so I guess this is gonna be volumes. And then I think it's local, like what we're sharing locally. And so if we take a look here, we have this init.sql. So I guess that's going to be init.sql : and then to here. I don't know if I need to give it a specific name like this. And then that should run. Okay, networks. I don't know if I like everything is going to be on the network. This like the same network here. I think we might have a front end. Maybe we should have like a back end network. But for right now, I'm just going to sort of like leave that off. There's a default network that Docker creates for us, and that's going to be fine. Okay, so then deploy. I don't need to like do deploy stuff, I don't think. Because we're not deploying. I'm not deploying this. We're just using this for development purposes. And I think, okay, environment variables. Where do those go? Okay, you don't show that at all. Somewhere in here is environment variables. I hate how like in the okay, an env file. Just want, I don't need env file, although that is interesting. Here we go, environment. Okay, so that's gonna be environment. And okay, so then we just put whatever environment variables we need. And so here's some ones from Postgres. Okay, Postgres password. Now for like the very, like this is development purposes, it's gonna be only running the my system right now. I'm not gonna make this open. So normally I would do something like, we're doing keyboard cat. We can set the Postgres user, so we know exactly what it is. Let's just make this, I mean, we could just make it Postgres for right now. I don't know if it matters. Postgres DB. This operational environment can be used to define a different name for the default database. And the value of Postgres user will be used. Okay, so Postgres. Postgres init db args. Oh, arguments to init db. Okay, so I don't need to do that, I don't think. Don't need to do that. Host auth. And there we go. So I think this is all we need. So if I save this, oh, ports. We need to open up some ports. Expose. What port are you on? It's like something weird, like 5432. $80. No. Postgres doesn't run on 8080. You're gonna make me. You're gonna make me actually go and look it up, aren't you? Aren't you, Docker? I'm surprised they don't say what port in here they're using. 8080 is like doesn't feel right for Postgres. They're not even exposing the port. I guess they don't need to expose the port for external stuff, do they? Now, I guess we don't need to do that, because then this one, okay, never mind. We don't, because we don't need to do that. So I don't need to do an expose. We'll need to run in, okay, so we'll need to exec into the container to run PSQL to sort of like get this and like see what's going on. Franz, hello. Any best resource to learn Docker, like being able to write your own Docker file and Docker compose files? So to be honest, the you can sort of see here that I constantly forget these, because like I don't think it's worth memorizing like the syntax for Docker compose or Docker files. If you just do a Google search every time for like Docker file reference or Docker compose reference, it always takes you, like the number one hit always takes you to the Docker docs. And you can see here is it took me to compose specification. I just look up what the most recent one is, go into there, and right away there's an example file that you can just sort of start going based on and that's it. So to how to write the things, that's what I would do. Is I wouldn't like necessarily take a class or anything else for that. I would probably just start by experimenting. I'm running on GitHub Codespace, so it is technically separate from my computer. So if I totally screw this up, I screw up my virtual space, as opposed to like my actual computer, which is still not that easy to do with Docker, unless you're doing something with like a hacker image. But if you just want to play around with it, then there's a few commands that I think are really important, and we'll go through some of those really easily, like right now. How about this? Like before, I'm skipping to like creating this. The first thing I would do if I didn't know Docker compose is I wouldn't start writing the Docker compose file. I would just say, okay, I want a Postgres database and I want it to be up. Let's go ahead and do that. So first of all, let's make sure that Docker is installed. Do a Docker PS. Okay, it's here because I got this command back. Cool. Let's take a look at what version. So looks like I've got Docker version 20.10.10. It's running on Azure because GitHub Codespaces runs on Azure. So what do we want to do? We want to load up Postgres and sort of like get that running and see if we can get it working for us. So I'm here in the database directory. We have this init.sql. Let's first start by creating just a plain Postgres image. So we're going to do Docker run. I'm going to give it, if you do a -- help, it gives you the entire list of commands you can do with it. So in this case, I want to probably just run it in daemon mode. So that's this detach. So it runs it in the background and keeps it running. I want to give it a name. Actually, let's just not even give it a name. Let's just do like the bare minimum here. So we'll do Docker run. Even if I don't even do the -d, if I just do this, we do image name. So that's gonna be Postgres, and then just like that on its own. If I hit this, it says, hey, it can't find Postgres locally. It's gonna go ahead and download this from Docker Hub. Let's see. Are we okay? Error database is uninitialized and super user password is not specified. It says I must set these environment variables, otherwise it won't work for us. So then it just cancels. Cool, so we can do that. So we're gonna do docker run -e for environment variable. And now this is where we get to set Postgres password. Sure, we'll just do what they have, password. And I think that's the only thing that they're suggesting here. So let's go ahead and run this. Oh, I need to tell it Postgres. And it's launching Postgres for me. Postgres version 14.1. Here it is. Docker database system is ready to accept connections. Except that's just running here. So if I want to connect into it, we're gonna have to create another terminal here. And if I do a docker ps, we can see here is my Postgres image. It gave it a random name. So random names kind of suck. I don't like them because, well, how do I really know that this is Postgres? Like I have to look here, then look over here. It doesn't really, it's not something I can memorize. So let's come back over to this terminal and redo this. But before I do the -e, I'm gonna do a -- name. I have a preference for the order I put these commands in. I think that you can do everything until the image in whatever order you want. So this is going to be name, and I'm going to give it the name of Postgres. Or we'll just call this database. Okay, it's back up. If we come over here and I hit up arrow, now we see the name is database. Awesome, perfect. Okay, so this is now a container that has been spun up from the Postgres image. It's running, and we can see here 5432 is in fact the port of Postgres, but it's not being forwarded to me. So if I want to like connect into it, and I don't even think I have PSQL. No, I don't. So I need to now connect into some kind of like into here. So there are some ways to do this. Exec is probably the easiest way to do this. We're going to use docker run exec. Is it docker exec? Yeah, here it is. Run a command in a running container. So docker exec. And then we can see, okay, so I want to run this command interactively with a TTY. So I would need to do a -i and t. So docker exec -i t. Then I also want to, I need to give it the name of the container. So that's database. And then the command is, I just want bin bash. And here we can see my prompt that's behind me. So, oh, that doesn't help. Hold on. Move myself into like the super corner there. Okay, so now we can see that I'm in this. I'm in here. So now I can run PSQL. It's trying to log in as root. So Docker, everything we're root by default. I don't even think there is a user's name named Postgres. So I want to do PSQL. We're connecting to localhost, but -user. I can never remember. We're going to use Postgres. Okay, capital U, I think. And here we are. Now we're in Postgres. So we're in Postgres using PSQL inside of the database container, which is spun off of the Postgres image. And so I think, what is it? It's, oh, I always forget what list databases or like list schemas or whatever we're calling it. It's like DN or something. There's okay, DN. Oh, here it is. /L, list databases. So \L. So \L. And we see that there's this Postgres database here. And now if I think I'm using that Postgres database. So if I want to list the schemas, list tables. So /DT, there is nothing here. So at this point in time, I could create things, but basically it's just an empty database that well, it's not really that helpful. Okay, so what I want to do here now is come into our init.sql, and we're gonna write something in here that's gonna like create a table maybe, and maybe we can insert something into it. So our idea is that this is going to be a project for like channel points type things. We're also probably going to handle authorization on it. I don't know if I'm going to have like a central authorization for like every project I'm ever going to do, or we'll figure that out. All right, so with this, I want to have, let's create table if not exists, create table name, I think. So let's see, we need like a users type thing. So we'll do like users. If not exists, we're solid. Like this part obviously is just Postgres things. Absolutely glad to explain Docker. It's like a super fun thing to sort of like dive into and run. And I hope that I'm going to show that it's not really that scary if you're just doing like the basic simple stuff. Like you don't need to worry about breaking everything until you're getting into like the really nitty gritty, like running random things that you find on Docker Hub, and just sort of like doing things as root that you probably shouldn't be doing. But if you're just like running things like Postgres, Ubuntu, you're fine. Okay, create table users if not exists. I think it's like that, and then we have the fields. So this is going to be like an ID, which is then going to be serial. Let's see, probably something like a username. Everyone in the world uses email, which means varchar 255, because I don't know how long people's emails are. Even if I just do this, this should be enough for like something to be created for me. Please also make a Rocket v5 auth tutorial. So I am planning on doing some kind of auth with Rocket, but I don't. Well, we'll see. Well, I have to learn it myself, and then I'll probably do. I could do a tutorial on it once I learn it. Okay, so I do this. Then we're going to come back into our terminal, and I need to restart you again, because what we learned is that if I do a volume, so I think it's a dash volume. Docker run help volume. Okay, so I think it's that. I think it's exactly the same syntax. Follow up, how would you learn it? I guess like you're talking about Rocket and auth, or are you talking about Docker? Let's see, we're gonna go init .sql. Okay, so Rocket v5 and auth. So Rocket v5, the best way to learn Rocket is to just try to build an API. So the standard project that like almost everybody uses is the to-do list. I don't know, like even though it's cliche and it's like maybe kind of slightly boring, it does hit almost everything you need to hit. It's a CRUD, so you need like to post, to get, to update, and to delete. Let's see, and there's for auth things. Then you need to know auth in general first, and then after that, then you need databases, how to hook up a database to Rocket. And then for me, it's always just do it, right? Like, I don't necessarily go out and read a full tutorial on it, but rather, okay, this is the next step that I want to learn. I have like an entire idea in my head of where I want to go. This is the next step. So therefore, how do I do that? Let me just fumble around and try things out, and then eventually I'll get it. And then to me, that is learning. Like experimenting, doing it, making mistakes, and then having to recover from them. I think it's init.sql. I mean, I can also, yeah, init.sql. Init.sql, and then we need to pick that to, we found that it was this thing right here. So here, I'll just, and we had taken this directly from the Docker Hub documentation for Postgres. So if I now run this, oh, look at this. The container name database is already in use by this container. So if I do a Docker PS, nothing is showing here. But then if I do a Docker PS -a, we'll actually see here's database, here's nostalgic, woo, here's hardcore, hey, Rufsky. They're all Postgres. They're all the different ones that I've created. So I just want to delete them. So we're going to do a Docker remove, which removes a container, not the image. So database and hardcore. Now they're all gone, and so I should be able to run this again, and now we should be fine. And what I'm going to be looking for here is, oh, look at this. Okay. Could not read from input file is a directory. Well, that's not true. Init.sql is definitely not a directory. Also, did that create? It did. Okay. Docker remove database. Let's try this again. Kindergarten fan, hello. Let's see. So we have this -v. I wonder if I need like a // init.sql to here. Let's try that. Error response for /init.sql includes invalid directories only. Okay. Use an absolute path. I don't want to pass a host directory. Okay, so I can't use // I wonder if I need to just wrap these in quotes. Cannot read from input file is a directory. So no, that's not a directory. Is it? So that's init.sql is definitely not a directory there. Oh, I see. Look at this. Okay, so inside of PSQL here, So let's actually go take a look at this. Yes, this is oh my ZSH. Oh, actually, I think it is. No, it's bash. Hold on. I can change that. So we can switch over to ZSH. This is apparently just bash. You know, I've not had problems with Node Version Manager when I've used oh my ZSH. But then again, I don't really use very many plugins, so I'm not really customizing it very much. All right, what am I doing here? Let's do some debugging. So we have docker ps-a. You're exited because it crashed. So I need to start this up again. So we're gonna do docker start database. That started. Now I need to do a docker exec -it database /bin bash. That now I gotta get into the database, and we're gonna go and take a look at what happened inside of here. So we want to look inside of cd to docker entry point here, and look at this init.sql, and what you can't see is behind my head is that it is a database. So if I cd into init.sql, it looks like it's nothing at all, but it's here. So that's our volume command completely failed us, but it's good to know. We can now fix this. Let's go ahead and docker remove. I think we have to first stop database. Then I want to restart this back up, but we're gonna try. We need to fix this command a little bit. So here we have init.sql. Let's just try going into there. So looking at this, okay, so it ignoring that. I'm not seeing any evidence that it ran my script. I'm not seeing like the output of that table being created. I'm not seeing any error messages either from my script running, so it's probably didn't run properly. Let's exec in and then sort of take a look at it. So we're just going to do into here. Oh, take a look at that. Absolutely nothing is in here. So this is our problem. So at this point in time, now I'm just going to go to docker run volume, go to Docker's documentation here, and then sort of like try to figure out what's going on. Does it have to be a directory maybe? Or can I just tell it a file to go in? So I'm going to look for an example here. Oh, there's this mount. Shows how old school I am that I'm using this -v when like the mount I think is clearly they want you to use mount if they're presenting it first. So I'm not creating like a volume that way. I just want to share like a local file over. Oh, you know what I want to do? I don't want a volume. Oh, I don't need a volume. I need a copy. And can I do that with the command line? Because I don't need it to be like shared because it only runs once on the start. So let's figure that out. Let's do, let's exit out of here. We'll kill the database. Let's do a Docker run help, and then I'm gonna look for any kind of like copy, move, add. I don't see anything like that here. One thing that I can do to make this a little bit easier to sort of search through, I'm gonna do help. I'm gonna pipe this to a grep. Don't ignore case, and we're gonna look for copy. We're gonna look for add. None of this. Okay, so we're gonna look for maybe file. So there's the mount, and that's it. I'm not seeing anything for like doing anything specific. So we're gonna have to use this mount command here, but I think in Docker Compose, it's gonna be easier to do some kind of like add or copy. Or maybe not. Maybe we have to do a Docker files for that specifically. So let's do the mount. Let's do the one that they want us to do. So if we come back up to here, let's, okay, so mount, and then the mount, okay. Okay. Mount is more explicit and verbose. Let's go find that. There it is. Okay, so we're going to do -- mount source equals something. Target equals and then slash. Okay. So this is what that's going to look like. Put this in here. Okay, so source equals init.sql. Target equals, and we can go back to PostgreSQL here. I remember they have like a, oh wait, that's the wrong one. This one. Init.sql here. Okay, so we're gonna throw up. Okay, so throw this into the target. Let's see if this works, or if I need to create a directory and we're going to mount the directory in. It's also possible that that's what we need to do. So if we run this, I'm not seeing any evidence that it copied stuff in there. So I'm thinking, not seeing anything crazy. Let's go take a look again. And it's empty. So I think what we need to do, I think what we're learning here is that we need to have a directory for the initialization scripts to go into, and then we'll mount that entire directory to this entry point init.db. Okay, easy enough. Control C, we'll remove you again. and let's go ahead and create just an init directory, and then we'll move init.sql to init. Now we run u, and we're going to mount init to here. See if that works. Still don't see any evidence that it ran or tried to run. Let's go in and take a look at that, if that worked. It didn't work. Let's see. What do I need to do? I wonder if it's not like source, because like that might be an actual volume that I'm creating, and that's not helpful. I need like a file. Don't need to create a volume. Really want to share. I want to share a volume like a, let's see, I want to share a directory. I mean, it might be this shared file storage with my system, but that's not looking exactly right. Let's go take a look at go back up and see if we can find this dash mount, see if there's anything we can add in here. Okay, so we can do the type amount is bind volume or temp. Okay, so I probably want to bind. So if we go take a look at bind mounts, here's our file system. So I want our container to go into the file system. That's what I want for our host, yes. Okay, so I've been missing the type. So here's our mount source init target equals that, and then we can just keep on adding to this. So then we're going to do type equals bind. The source of mounts for bind mounts is the path to the file or directory of the Docker daemon host. Okay, may be specified as source or source. The destination is the value where the file or directory is mounted to the container. Okay. Read only option. I mean, this is fine. We can do read only or not read only in this specific case. Sometimes you do, like, you're running things you don't trust necessarily, so read only is important. Okay, so let's try this with bind now. Oh, okay. So init Mount path must be absolute. Okay, so that's really good to know. So we're gonna say, we have to give it an absolute path. So we're gonna do run pwd /init/init.sql. So I want to go back to trying just a specific file. So pwd will get me my current working directory, and then also just go in and grab that and then put it in here. Let's see, what else? Oh, look at this. Okay, so error response from daemon, OCI runtime create failed, container init cause root fs, mounting to root fs at that. Not a directory. Unknown, you're trying to mount a directory onto a file or vice versa. Okay, so I think then here to init.sql. Oh, database is already in use. So docker remove database. There we go. Okay, so it attempted to run now, and we see that it tried to run because we get an error from our SQL. So I think I got this in the wrong order. So remove our database, and for our init script, I want, nope, not that one. I want that one. I think what it is create table if not exists. And this is going to be users. And we'll try this again. I missed a comma. This happens all the time. Okay. Now, what's really nice here is like, look how fast this is. Spinning up new images, new containers from an image that's already downloaded is super fast. So now I'm able to like just get through into like the actual development part, fix one little thing, try it again, and let's go. Okay, we now see that the create table worked, which means I can come over here and reconnect in. And now at this point in time, we should be able to do our PSQL again. So Postgres, we'll do a D, I think it was just a \L. Here's our Postgres. We're already connected to that. So if I do a DDL, or what is it? It's like, I want to see the commands for showing the tables. List tables. Oh, it's just /d. So it's D. Here's our users table. And so if I just do table users, we can see, okay, ID and username. And I think there is a way to like show the actual, is it DD? No, that's not exactly it. I always forget the command to show like the information about it, like the data. Describe. Oh, is it just D then? So /D users. Here it is. ID is an integer. It cannot be null, and it will get us to the next value, and then username, character varying, 255. Okay, so we've now got our database step set up like that. Of course, running that manually every time kind of sucks. So what we want to do next is, once I've got this part set up, I then move back into Docker Compose so it can just automate it for us. So here in Docker Compose, we have our version, we have Postgres, we have our volume. So we're going to set, okay, I want this, now it's going to be init/init.sql, and then throw this into there. Environment, give us keyboard cat, and then the Postgres user is Postgres. Okay, that should be good for right now. If I save you, and inside of here, we can see there's the Docker Compose. I'm going to do a Docker Compose up. Let's see. Name volume init is used in service, but no declaration was found in the volume section. Oh, I don't want to. We need to go look at mount to do the mount in the Docker Compose. So what is that going to be? That's going to be like Docker Compose. Well, I think we actually have here. So we need to find mount or volume. We need to tell it the type is going to be bind, essentially. Mount host paths or named volumes. Okay. Here we need this type bind. Okay, so that's what we're missing here. In volumes. Oh, come on. Where do you go? Up or down? Type bind. There we go. So volumes, it becomes like this. So type is gonna be bind. Then we're gonna have, okay, so source is gonna be this init, okay, and then we're gonna have target. To go to there, and I think that'll work for this. Okay, so back to you. We're gonna do a Docker Compose up. All right, what happened? Cannot create container for service, invalid mount config for type bind, invalid mount path. Path must be absolute. Okay, so I need to give it the absolute path for this. That kind of sucks. Oh, is it? Is this where they're like source static? They do a / here. Maybe I can do that. Let's try that again. Here we go, and now it's creating it. It's gonna set up this database for us, and it's gonna run it for us. Now I don't have to have that entire long command line option anymore. Now I can just continuously run Docker Compose up, Docker Compose down. And we can see create table happened, so it did find that, so it mounted correctly. So that's good. But I need to be able to like actually connect in. So let's do that again. But now we're in Docker Compose, so it's a slightly different command. So we're gonna do Docker Compose exec. And if we run help on this, we'll see. Now we want to, okay, we give it the options. it's gonna allocate a TTY automatically, so I don't need to worry about that -I or T. I don't care about environment variables, service, and then the command. So the service is going to be database, and the command is going to be bin bash. That didn't work. Let's see. What do I need? Do I need to give it a -IT? It doesn't look like I need to. Docker compose PS. Oh, I'm in the wrong directory. I need to be in the directory that the Docker compose file exists for it to find this stuff. So that's in the database. So Docker compose exec database bin bash. There we go. And so now I'm in. Now we can do our PSQL-U Postgres. Okay, and then we should just do the exact same things before. So what is it? D users, and we'll see. There's our users. We don't have any data in there yet, but okay, perfect. Now, to make this work maybe a little bit nicer, we probably do want to put our code running in Docker. Do we really want to? I don't know if I need to do that for this specific thing. Just having it run here, and then I can. Well, if I don't have it running in there, then we need to expose the ports. And if I do have everything running inside of Docker, I don't need to expose the ports, and we can sort of connect to each other normally. So let's sort of like figure that out. Let's exit out of here. Turning off Docker compose is pretty easy. We'll just do the normal Control-C, and then we'll do a Docker compose down. And that just completely cleans up everything. And it's, if I do a Docker compose up, it's going to rebuild it as if it, didn't exist before. So I want to create another service here. And maybe this one can, we're going to do one for actual connecting in for the Rocket API. Like Lego Logic, hello. You've been reading about Docker, but you still don't get how it benefits deployments. So there's 3 different areas that I feel like Docker can be useful in. There's development areas, which you can see right now. I'm able to spin up a database without having to just install the database locally. I can install all of my stuff, including our code, into Docker for local development. So there's some really nice and interesting benefits for that, especially if you work on a team, because now you can say, hey, anybody can use whatever hardware, whatever computer they want. Some people have a Mac, some people have Windows, some people have Linux. Docker will make it be consistent environment for development. Then there's testings like CI/CD, being able to spin up your entire ecosystem with a Docker compose command and then run all of your tests against it, all at runtime. Really, really, really nice for CI/CD. It's basically it takes it from, okay, it's going to take me a day to set this up, to it's going to take me 20 minutes. And then deployment. Okay, we have an EC2 instance, and we're going to, after it passes CI/CD, it just goes in there and runs a Docker, Docker pulls the latest image, and then it runs a Docker compose down, Docker compose up, or something like that. And then everything just gets spun up, and then it's running again. Basically, it just means things are faster for us to work on. That being said, I usually don't run Docker in production, but I do know a lot of people that do, and I go back and forth. I can see how I might start using it. So it's just faster than VM. It's faster for setup, and runtime, I think it's about the same with more security holes than a traditional VM with a hypervisor. And it's the reason for that is because it's sharing all of the it's sharing like pieces of the disk drive, the memory, and the CPU and the cache as like the host operating system. So I may be on Windows, but I'm running in a VM in Azure through GitHub Spaces, Codespaces. So Docker running in Codespaces is sharing some of that CPU and memory of the code space. So if I ran something that somehow knew how to break out of like Docker's software protections, and it was able to like start accessing things outside of the Docker container, then that's obviously really bad, especially since inside of Docker by default things run as root, which means that it would get root access to the host system, which is, as you might imagine, not good. It is isolated, but it's isolated. Like they try to isolate it, but I guess like a good rule of thumb with security is that isolation can be broken, and there might be a 0-day out there that allows somebody to break out of Docker. Now that's also true of VMs. It's possible that there's a 0-day out there that somebody can break out of a VM and get into the host operating system and start doing stuff. So it is something to be aware of, especially if you're working for like companies that require true separation of like their clients' data. So like this happens in government a lot, government and healthcare. So like if you're working with a government and they say, we need hardware separation we need hardware multi-tenancy. What they're trying to tell you is that you can't run like a Docker image with like their stuff in there and then a Docker image with another client like right next to it. That's illegal. That will violate that contract because they're concerned about breaking out and people accessing their stuff. So is it isolated? Yeah, sure. Can somebody break out? Possibly. And you'll have to use your level of paranoia to determine how much you want to trust it. For development, I trust it completely because I'm not using images that I don't usually like have some kind of hand in or check out. Yes, and it gets interesting, right? Because this is based upon like Linux images usually, and Windows and Mac use a different cores. So then they have to run a VM behind the scenes to run Docker. So then it's kind of through a VM, but you don't really control the VM. Docker controls the VM. So that's the reason why you might hear people say that like Docker on Mac or Docker on Windows is slower than Docker on Linux. It's because it has to like run a VM to run Docker. But in general, yes. It gets interesting like what they're doing behind the scenes, but to run it yourself, you don't really need to know any of that. Okay, so what I want to do here is show off some like the default networking stuff. So we're gonna create one called maybe let's do one called like just do a PSQL. Or we can just do our like code. We can just do our API. So I'll call this API image. I don't want to use this as Rust right now because I want to show this off. So I'm going to actually just do Postgres. And we'll just use the same 14. We'll do volumes. I actually don't need a volume for this. We need the environment only because we need to set this. Even though all I'm doing this for is to access like PSQL. So, what do I want to do this for? We'll do Postgres password, and who cares? So if I run this, we're going to come back to here and do Docker compose up. Invalid. Unsupported config options for services. I forgot. Hey, no. I turned you off. Did you just turn back on? I'm just gonna go ahead and uninstall it. Have to reload. What I don't like about GitHub Copilot is like Control Enter. I now have to rebind that for something because it keeps on opening the Copilot sidebar, and it's like, I just wanted to go to the next line without going to the end first. Okay, so we want environment, and then this goes like that. Now I can do Docker compose up. It's going to create database, and it's also going to set up API at the exact same time. So it's asynchronous. It does them both sort of like one after the other. Now we're going to Docker compose exec API bin bash. And so let's first start with a ping database. Oh, don't even have Docker images are like so like cut down. They've removed everything you don't need. Ping doesn't even exist in here. We can install it, but there's no reason to. So let's do PSQL because that's going to exist. So we're going to do PSQL -u Postgres, but then I don't want to connect to the local the local Postgres running in this container. I want to connect to the one running in database. So we're going to do -h for host database, and then the port should be the same, and we'll see about that. Okay, it's asking me for the password now because this is now connecting into the keyboard cat one. So keyboard cat, and now I'm in. So I'm in one Docker container connected into another Docker container, and this is how like the networking between containers works. If we're in the same network, I can just use the name of the container as sort of like the target here. And that's the reason why I always like to set the names explicitly, because now I can just say, hey, your database. So we're going to do this with API. We're going to put our Rocket API inside of here. Let's see. There we go. Compose down. All right, so what are we going to do? We need something that can run Rust. So we're probably, I don't think that there is a Rust Docker Docker image, but it's been a long time. Let's see if we can find one. Oh, let's do this one. Oh, hey, look at this. There is an official image for Rust. Well, never mind then. Okay. Basically, with Docker, if it's just a single name, then it's trusted. This is an official image. You'll see that it just says official image here. If we come back to Docker and I search for Rust, Look at this. Okay, circle CI slash Rust. So it's namespaced. It's basically it's Rust, but the owner is Circle CI. Now in this case, it's a verified publisher, so that's probably trustworthy. I've used Circle CI before. I like them. They're pretty good. But if we go down far enough, we'll see here, Rust Lang Rust. This is just by a user named Rust Lang. Now, is that actually Rust, like the Rust language? Possibly. However, now there's this official language here. I would always use official languages or verified publishers, and I would just say, be careful about using people you don't know, or like you haven't read the documentation, or you haven't gone out and like looked at the code. Just be careful about just sort of random people's version. Okay, so I'm gonna go into Rust here. Let's see what we get. So here they're talking about a Docker file, how to set this up. This looks like Rust 131 is what they have. We can go take a look at their tags. I think like 1.5. 15 days ago is not bad. Yeah, here we go. 1.57. So .0. Okay, we could just do 157 like that, or we could just do 1. And that will give us the minor and a patch all together. That sounds good to me. So we're gonna come back to here. We're just gonna do Rust 1. If I leave off that colon with a number, it's going to give me the absolute latest version, which when we're talking about like actual projects they're working with, I never really suggest that. For testing and playing around with, yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea. So if I just do this, that isn't bad. What we can do for testing purposes, just sort of like to see how this works, I'm going to use some Docker run with the command --rm. As soon as I quit out of this container, it's going to delete it for me. So I don't have to constantly do the Docker rm with that. This is really nice for like just playing around and testing with these containers. So we're going to use -it so I can connect into it directly. We're going to use the Rust. Use 1, and I'm going to override the normal command and go to bin bash. All right, so here I am inside. And I should be able to now, we should just be able to use Rust for whatever we want. So do we have like cargo? We do. So cargo here, if we do, is rest up list, I think? Rest up show. So we're using Rust 1.57. Rust up is here, so we can just do a Rust up update. If we want, all the normal commands are here that we want. Okay, so that all looks to be fine. There's obviously nothing for us to do because this is the latest version. Okay, if I wanted to like init a new project, I could totally do that. If we take a look, we're just here. Let's create like a code. We can do a cargo new test. And oh, can't use test, so testing, and it creates that. I can then cd into it, and I can do a cargo run. Okay, like seems pretty easy and fairly nice to do here. So I don't really need this. As soon as I exit out of this, if we do a docker ps-a, that is gone. Like there we have no containers. So knowing that though, I want to start pulling in this volumes thing next, so we can put our code inside of this container. I'm gonna do a volumes. Our type is going to be this bind again. We're going to get source is. So in this case, I don't really want to be in database anymore, which means to me that we should move this Docker Compose out into the base here. So I'm actually going to do that right now. So we're going to move. I need to save and close you. So I'm going to move database Docker Compose to here. That does mean we're going to have to change this. So you have to go to /database to get that. Then that'll be fine there. Okay, source. This is going to be API because our API is inside of this folder here. And our target, we can create a folder here. So we'll just put this into the code. I think that'll be good for that. We could set environment variables. I don't think we need to. So just out of testing, if we could just run this and see if our code is now going to be inside of there. Okay, so database 1 is up, and where's our API? I don't see. Oh, here it is. API exited with code 0. So it created it, but then it just exited out. So we need to figure out why it did that. It probably doesn't know to like run anything. So we need to have it like stay up, don't we? To like actually run the service. Now we don't, let's go ahead and connect in. So if I do a Docker Compose, yes. API is exited, but database is still up. Let's go ahead and start this up. So Docker Compose start API. Docker Compose exec API bin bash. Oh, well, not. It just stays off. So we can do just a Docker. If we take a look, here is our API. It gives it a nice fun name of that. So we're going to do it Docker. Going to start that. And Docker exec -I. I think we need a T2. I don't remember. Point collector, bin bash. Okay, now we can get in that way instead of the Docker Compose because it kept on trying to start it up, but then it just exited immediately because there's nothing for it to do. What I'm really interested in is if I go into code, what did we call it? Yeah, we're trying to put it into code here. And I see Docker entry point. My Docker exec was to go into here. I don't see a code though. So I don't think that ran properly. Do I have Rust stuff? Let's make sure I have Rust. So let's do just like a cargo. No, okay. So I think something's wrong with. Did I forget? Oh, you're Rust one now. For API, I should bind API. This folder, I want to bind you into /code, which has to be created, but I think that it's still giving me this like Postgres that we did in there. So I think what we need to do is we need to fully clear out like the cache for Docker Compose. So Docker Compose down. And let's see, Docker Compose ps-a. I don't think there's anything here. Let's just check Docker ps-a. Okay, nothing there. There's also Docker network ps-a. Oh, it's ls. These are the three that just come by default, so that's fine. Docker volume ls. Here's a bunch of volumes. I don't need any of these, so if I delete them, then they'll be recreated for me whenever they need. So we're just remove them. Docker volume remove, and then I need to give it this volume name. That kind of sucks, so I'm gonna just give me a Docker volume ls-q for quiet, and that will just delete them all. And I think that's it. So let's try another Docker. What would be Docker Compose up and see if this is gonna be any better. Point collector, it looks like it's just immediately dying. I do have a separate service. I didn't like accidentally tab it in here. Now with this, I don't think we can see. Yeah, I don't think we can see that we attach into point collector API, and then database one. Okay, Docker Compose, yes. And yeah, it is showing that this is, I guess the command is bash. Is the Rust command bash that it runs? That's interesting. Can I exec into it here? I don't think I can. Docker Compose exec API bash. No, because it's offline. So if I'm using Rust, if we do this volumes, if I want that, I think there's a command that we can do. I don't remember if it's CMD. We'll find out. We can actually just go look at Docker. The Docker Compose reference. I want the command to run. So override the default command, which seems to be bash, which that's not helpful. I want it to basically be a cargo run. That's pretty much what we want it to do. Cargo run. So command will be cargo run. Okay. But I need to tell it where to go also. So there's usually like a working directory. I don't see a working directory in here. We might have to do a custom Docker, like a Docker file for this one. I would not be that surprised if we have to do that. So environment, that's not really what we want to do. It would be kind of weird if we try to do, okay, so first cd into code. Cd into code and then run cargo run. We can try it, but I don't think this is going to work out too well for us. So let's come back to you. Oh, it doesn't like oh, because it's actually command, not CMD. Okay, up. Let's see if this is any better. Oh, error for API. Cannot start. Oh, cd exec. Change directory is not even available for us. So that's cool. So I think we're gonna need to create our own Docker file for this, which is not a problem. So Docker files, we're gonna put this into the API section. So we're gonna head back into API and we're gonna run just touch Docker file here. And this is very similar to Docker Compose in that it has its own syntax and everything else. Let's go ahead and install this extension, and maybe this will help us write this. Let's go look at the reference for Docker file. They do have an example, but I think it's like at the bottom here. Oh, and they send you else. They send you somewhere else. But I think on this page, you can just take a look at, it starts here at from, where we can say, okay, from whatever image that we're doing. So this would be the Rust image. And if we take a look at here, it is in fact Rust that we're using. So we're going to use from Rust version 1, tag 1. Okay, what commands do we want it to run? I don't really think, like right now, there's nothing we need to do. If we run this in production, I definitely don't want to run this as the root user. For right this second, I think we'll be fine. Command. So we want to override the default command. So CMD, and this is now going to be just cargo run. Label, don't need that. Maintainer, expose some ports. It's probably a good idea because I believe that when we run our, let's see, I don't remember what port gets exposed from Rocket. I think it's like 8,000. Actually, we have this right here, 8,000. So we're gonna do expose 8,000. any environment variables we want to pass in. We don't have any right this second. I don't need to add anything in. Don't need to copy anything. Entry point tells us like, hey, are we running this as like an executable or not? We're not. Let's see. Volume. Let's see. Volume stuff, we can definitely set that up. So we're gonna do volume. Instruction creates a mount point with the specific name and marks it as a holding externally mounted for native. Okay, so right, so this is gonna create a directory for us. So we're gonna do volume, and we'll just do this as like the code where that's gonna live. We could totally oh, this is nice. Oh no, okay, it's not as nice. I thought maybe it would like create users for us too. It just sets what the user is going to be, so we can use like run to create a new user and then switch over to that, which would be best practice for like actually deploying to not run as root. Heck, even in like the local for like longer term purposes, running as not root is a good idea. Work directory. Okay, so we can tell it where like the default work directory is, because we notice that this command just does cargo run. So we need to do a work directory, and then it's going to be /code. But we have to do volume first. So create the directory code, switch over to it, run this command. Arguments don't need to worry about. On build, stop signal. All these things would be probably nice to like set up, but I don't think it's really going to be that helpful. Okay, let's try running this and see if it will just launch our server. So I'm not going to use Docker file. We're going to use the Docker file. So first we're going to build this into an image. This Docker file just sort of exists in here. It is saved. So we're going to use Docker build -t. The name of this file. So we're going to use Berserker slash. What am I going to call this? Probably just like the Rocket API. We'll just call this API. And then dot for where it can find the directory, can find the Docker file in. And okay, so it pulls in from Rust. Its working directory. So it found that, it created that. Okay, so if I do Docker image, is it images? Yeah, now we can see, here's this Berserker API. It's 1.27 gigabytes in size. These Docker files do not, like they can be pretty big if you're like building them myself and you're not doing things like, using the slim versions, like full Ubuntu. Essentially, it's not small. Although this is because Rust is absolutely huge. I did notice they have a slim version, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, so I now want to run this. So we're going to do Docker run. Let's do this --rm. Let's do port forwarding. So $P basically says choose a random port on my side and then connect that to whatever the exposed port is inside the Docker file. I don't need to connect in necessarily, so I just want to run Berserker API, and that's it. Let's hit it. Could not find cargo toml in /code. Okay, so well, apparently we need to figure this out. So let's do a -it and override with a bin bash. So now we can get in there and see what's going on. So first of all, I noticed that we are in code. So that's good. Let's see. So if we're in code, look at that. There's absolutely nothing in here. That's because we're running this manual like locally, not with Docker Compose. So I kind of need to mount it, don't I? So right here, we're going to use that --mount. What was that? It was equals. No, I think it's like space. Then we're going to have type equals bind. Source equals API. I think we can just use /API. Comma target equals /code. Oh, must be absolute when you're using the command line here. Okay, so that's going to be pwd /API. Oh, I'm in API, so it could just be pwd. Okay, let's take a look inside of code. So, and here we go. Okay. Exit out again. Let's remove the bin bash override. Let's also remove this -it. And now if we run this, it's going to go ahead and just start installing all of the create stuff. So it first has to update the create.io index because this image has probably never run any kind of like cargo install. So it needs to like figure out where all the packages are and download and compile them. That will obviously take a little while. I think while it does this, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. I'll be right back. I am back and it looks like it launched. Okay, excellent. So it looks like we're all good here. It's mounted. Now if we take a look, Codespaces is basically telling me that port 49156 is like exposed for me. And if I take a look at Docker PS, it exposed 49156 to port 8000. So if I want to run this get this one, let's say 49156 49156. It doesn't like that. How about you? 9156. Forcibly closed. Are you? You're not happy with that. Yeah, 49156. Let's see. Four 9156. I guess those are to gets. What do I have? And you in my main. Okay, so I've just got an API v1. We have index and create. So if we go to our routes, we have a get for slash. Okay, index. That should get us hello world. So if I do a get on localhost 45196, oh, I think it's like that API v1. One. Forcibly closed by peer. So that's not good. Now what I do notice, okay, that's port 00, and then Rocket, oh, look at that. Rocket is running on 127.0.0.1. So there's this thing in Linux where, especially like this happens all the time when we're running in like Docker type stuff. That's not actually going to be available to me now. Like I just can't get that at all. I need to make that running on 0.0.0.0, and then I can access it from outside from my own browser or any like API setup that I have here. So we need to update Rocket in some way to know that the host port is going to be what we said it's going to be. Now, fun things are, we want to be able to make a change, then have this rerun this. So actually want to run cargo watch. And if I remember correctly, let's see, go to lib.rs. I think it's just cargo dash watch. It is cargo dash watch. So let's go back into here. We're going to shut you down. Maybe we also need to tell Docker how to handle a shutdown message, because that is not handling this control C. So this needs to be a force quit. Can I even do that? There, force quit. Okay, so we're gonna have to handle that. So two things for us to do. So our Docker file. So first of all, we want to install cargo watch so we can run that instead. So before we run our volume, it doesn't really matter where. This is going to be a sort of a global install here. We're going to use a run cargo install cargo watch. And then here in command, it can now be cargo watch. And then we run whenever things change. Okay, so that's step one. The other thing is that we need to handle graceful shutdowns. And somewhere in here, I do remember seeing that there's stop signal. Okay, so the stop signal instruction sets the system call signal that'll be sent. The default is sig term, which normally would be good, but for some reason it's like cargo wasn't paying attention to that. The signal can be a signal name in a format of sig name, for example, sig kill. So let's do stop signal, and I'm not exactly sure which one I want to use. So like sig, you won't tell me. So what are the different signals that I can do? I can do sig kill. Maybe that will be better. Let's try it. Oh, do you want to be, okay, all capitals, like that. Okay, so we've updated those two things. Now things should be a little bit nicer, but I need to recreate a new Docker image for this. So what we're going to do is open you back up and do another cd into our API. Docker. Oh, you don't apparently remember that. So Docker build, let's see, what is it? -t. I could give it a label, but it's just gonna be latest for right now what we're doing. Then dot. So it's gonna remember some of the stuff that we've already done and so therefore be a little bit faster, but the new things it sort of recognizes, like cached. No, install Rust. Okay, doesn't need to redo that. But this one it needs to do. And we can actually see the output of that down here. This is going to be nice. If we need to do any more things, because we're pre-installing Cargo Watch, we can pre-install anything else we need to too. And then it'll be cached for us and it won't be quite as boring as just sort of sitting here and watching these installs happen. I wish I could see how close it was, but it's not showing us how much there is left. Okay, it's compiling cargo watch. We're almost there. Okay, good. Okay, so we should be done. There we go. So let's do another Docker PS, because I don't remember if we cleaned up. No, we weren't. Okay, so here is that previous one. Docker remove Silly Williams. Wait, is that running? Oh, that is running. I thought we had stopped it. Let's do a Docker stop Silly Williams. Oh, it's not letting me stop it. Okay, there we go. I was wondering if it was gonna let me like force it. Let's see, Docker move. Oh, was that a did I do the RM thing on it? Yeah, I did. Okay, so we're gonna do Docker run --rm. We're gonna do -p. So we can actually do -port lowercase p and then go, I want port 8000 to map to port 8000 inside the container. And then I don't think there's anything else I need to do in here, so we're just going to do Xrp API and then run. Found argument run, which wasn't expected or isn't valid in this context. Usage cargo watch. I forget how to do this. If I would run this here, it would be cargo watch run, right? No. Okay, so what do I need to do with this? Let's go find out how to actually use it properly. Oh, -x. I forgot -x. So it's cargo watch -x run. Thank you, Domjet. For that, let's go ahead and once again build this container. However, this is going to be a lot faster because it's going to cache the creation of the install of cargo watch, so we don't have to go through that entire thing again. And now we can try one more time. Project root does not exist. Project root does not exist because I need to do the entire volumes thing. So mount type equals bind. Then let's see, source equals, in this specific case, we're in the API directory already, so that's going to be just pwd. Then go to /code. Oh, target. Target equals. Sort of mixed up the mount and the -v sort of syntax there. Okay, so, oh, rocket launched from, okay, wrong one again. Can I do the control C? So that sig term didn't work for me. I was really hoping that like the control C would pass through with the sig term and actually work. But unfortunately, sig kill isn't working either. Which is unfortunate. Now what I could do is I can control, no, I can't even control Z. Control D, control C, none of these. So I can't sleep it, can't do anything. So I've got to completely kill and recreate a terminal and stop it manually like this. All right, let's so that stop signal isn't working. We need to figure out a way to tell Rocket to run on a different server, which that's going to probably be Rocket's documentation. So specifically what's happening is in main, right here. So somewhere in like build mount, somewhere here, we're probably gonna be able to say, use some port. Maybe some options struct that we can pass in, maybe just like a dot port. Not seeing that just auto pop up for us, so it's probably gonna be somewhere else for us. Okay, so yeah, let's go look up the documentation for probably build. There's a config here. Here's a port. Okay. So we want the IP address to be served on is to be 0.0.0.0. Okay, now okay, Rocket's default configuration provider is config Figment. This is the provider that's used when calling Rocket build. The default Figment merges at a per key level and reads from the following sources in ascending priority order. Okay, so config default, Rocket toml. Okay, or we can use a Rocket config environment variable. Oh, or Rocket prefixed environment variables. I actually like the idea of using an environment variable for this. So we're going to do Rocket underscore address. That sounds to me like it would be. So Rocket underscore address. We need that to be in an environment variable set up for this. Well, we already know what to do there. When we run this, we're going to have a -e, not that. I think it's Rocket address equals 0.0.0.0. Project root does not exist. Oh, does this one not have the mount? Find source. Oh, I'm not in the API. There we go. Now Rocket has launched from 0.0. So if I come back to here and we run you, that didn't work. Oh, but we're now on port 8000. There we go. And now we get our hello world. So we've successfully set up our Rocket API inside of a Docker container. So this is great and all, but we just did this manually. We want to add this into the Docker Compose now, so that way it just sort of like auto runs for us. Now, one other thing is that I want this to be able to auto update and rerun for us. So now we have this hello world. Let's, we have a bunch of exclamation marks there. Let's see if we can change that up just a little bit. So we'll do responses. Probably here it is. Let's just do hello from Docker. Hit save. It detected that change. And it took a little bit of time, but it did recompile and relaunch this. So then I should be able to run you again. And now we get our hello from Docker. So now we can like develop from inside of Docker. Okay, so let's actually make that real by using Docker Compose now. Can I quit you? I still can't quit this, which kind of sucks. So Docker, was it Docker? We have to stop that. Okay, so we have this Rust one. So now image, I think it's going to be like a Docker file, but I forget exactly what that's called. Oh, I think it's a build. We need to tell it to build, and then where is it going to find the Docker file? So build./API, and then it's going to find all the stuff that it needs to inside of there. Okay, our volumes, we're going to bind API to code. We don't need to override the command anymore. That should just be fine. We do need the environment though. So our name value. Interesting that this is like just subtly different than these up here. I'm gonna stay consistent. So rocket address, and you're gonna be 0.0.0.0. And then as we need more, we can add them in here. Okay, so now we can do a Docker Compose up. Oh, we need a port expose. Hold on. Ports 8,000 to 8,000. So Docker Compose up. It's going to bring up the database, and then it's also going to bring up this API. See, here we are. Rocket has launched, which means we can now come back over to here, run this again. Hello from Docker. So now inside of Docker Compose, we have a database and we have our API. Now we're gonna want to set up our Hasura too, that connects to the database, and then Docker will connect to Hasura that connects to the database. So that'll be interesting. So we need one more sort of a layer in there before we can hook up Rust Rocket to, well, the database. So is there a Hasura? There's no actual like specific ones. So usually when looking at these, the way I sort of like decide if I'm going to trust one of these sort of like unknown ones is we're going to go to Hasura's, actually like just Hasura's webpage that we do trust. And we want to see if we can find their Docker file, and that will like link us to the Docker Hub page to make sure, like, is it really them? Hopefully it is. actually just want to use like Hasura, like the backend, like the manual hosting one, as opposed to like the product Hasura. We're not going to pay for it. We're going to use the open source version of Hasura. So let's see, other docs. So Hasura core is what we're looking for. Probably Docker. So they have some. Okay. They have their own Docker Compose file. But here's what I'm really looking for here. It is Hasura / GraphQL engine is what we're looking for. So if we go back to Docker Hub, we'll see that this Hasura / GraphQL engine is indeed the official one from Hasura. So we just wanted to make sure that this was theirs. And it does indeed look like it is. So now we're going to use this. In this specific case, I'm okay with using latest for that. Looks like there's a lot of tags we can use, but we're just going to use latest. So I'm going to go back into our Docker Compose. And now we're going to do, I guess we're going to call this like GraphQL. And that's going to be, image is not sigkill. Serve GraphQL E. Everything, please. We'll just go ahead and be explicit saying, hey, latest is okay here. I don't need to bind any volumes for this. We're okay with that. Environment, I do believe we need to set some environment variables. So here's this database URL. Okay, we need to tell it where it is. So if you remember before, database URL is going to be very simple. We just say, hey, it's database. Although I probably in this case need to say like this entire thing. So it's Postgres. Username, as we can see, is Postgres. Password is this keyboard cat. Hostname is database. Port is the normal port, which I believe is 5432. And database name is going to be the same. So we're just going to call this Postgres. Enable console true. Okay, we do want to enable the console. I believe we need to set the admin secret also here. Now, I'm okay with just setting this to another keyboard cat, but we can just, yeah, we'll just do another keyboard cat. And that should be it for right this second. There's other things we may need to set up for this, but just sort of like to get the first version working, this should be fine. So let's go ahead and shut you down. We're going to do a down and then a back up. Let's see. Invalid because GraphQL enable console contains true, which is an invalid type. It should be a string number or a null. I guess you need to be a string. That's interesting. I wonder if I need to use like the dash version of this. And now let's bring this back up, and we're going to have an API, we'll have a database, and Hasura for connecting to that database. Except, we do have a problem here, don't we? For our GraphQL, could not connect to server. Server connection refused. The server running on host. So I found that, accepting on port 5432. I guess I do need to have it expose that port, don't I? Okay. So I think that's ports 5432. So that will access there. I want to say that's everything we need to do now. Okay, GraphQL looks like it's up and running. I don't see any major errors. API launched. Okay, so this is running on oh, did I not launch this? Okay, what port are you running on? I don't see. GraphQL exited with code 1. I mean, it sort of came back up, but could not connect to server. So look at this. It tries to connect to the server, but it can't. So we have to wait. So we have to tell GraphQL, you have to wait until the database is up and running in order for us to like connect to you properly. Come on, go ahead and stop. So how do we do that? Well, there is a relies on thing here. What is it? Requires, I think. Depends on. There it is. Service name. So you depend on database. The problem is that database is going to come up and mark that it's finished, but it's going to take just a tiny little bit more time before the actual database is running. So we have to wait until this port is actually loaded up properly. So I don't actually think I need to expose this port. I think our problem is that we need to tell it that it waits on this, but that's not really going to work for us. Like perhaps it'll wait just long enough. We can find out. Oh, and because I didn't do it down, so it didn't reset the database. So it already had stuff on there. So here's port running on 5432. GraphQL, I can't tell what port that's running on from this, which means we need to go and port 8080 it looks like. So let's actually do a fold down with this and reset everything. And for you, we'll expose ports 8080. And we'll see if this works. That may not be like, it may be too slow for the database starting up. We may have to wait for it and add that into our entire system. So now that this is all running, we don't have 8080 running as far as VS Code is concerned. So that means you exited, and then look, then database came back up afterwards. So we do need to wait for it. So we'll call this wait for database. Now there is an image for this that we can use. There's actually a bunch of these that sort of exist. We might have to create our own, sort of like wait for it if we can't find a good one. So we want wait, like there's several of these wait for it. That being said, there is a GitHub wait for it. I forget exactly what it's called. I think it's like wait for it. I think the one I want, it was like super popular. Wait for it. Doesn't seem to be. Maybe we should just write our own. I don't see one that's like as popular as I vaguely remember seeing in the past. That being said, I don't think it will take too, like, it'll be that hard for us to create something that will do this for us. I think that all we need to do is do like a telnet. I don't think you can ping for ports. But we can probably create a Docker image that has telnet in it. We'll probably have to install telnet. So let's go ahead and let's create. Okay, so let's do inside of this sort of entire arena here. We're going to call this wait for database. And it's just like wait for database is fine. Depends on wait for database. And let's just use Ubuntu. The latest, I don't think I need, let's just do a command, and we're just gonna say bin bash so that I can like just access that. I wonder if that will work. Or if I'm just gonna have to sort of like insert myself in using the exec command. Nope, I have to insert myself in using the exec command. That's fine though. So we're gonna do a docker compose ps. Here's my wait for it It's exited, so we have to start it up again. Curvex, hello. Can you tell me what a Docker or Docker file is? Came across this word quite often. How familiar are you with like development and like, cause like, okay, so Docker is some software. It's an application or like a series of, I think, Go scripts that is all sort of packaged under the sort of like command Docker that you can use on pretty much any computer. Although I'm most familiar with it on Linux machines and Mac. You can definitely run on Windows too. Basically, if you're familiar with virtual machines, it appears to create a virtual machine for you. There's some differences there, but sort of like one of those little lies, it's essentially the same thing, but there are stuff that's happening behind the scenes that are very different. But that being said, you can create an entire like different looking computer in your computer that you can then connect to and run all your stuff that's isolated from each other, and it's all good. So when you say, like when somebody says, oh, I'm going to use Docker for this, what they really mean is they're going to throw whatever program or something inside of Docker, which they call a container, which contains their code. It contains the entire environment. So in this case, we're using Docker to contain a Postgres database, to contain our API, and to contain Hasura, which is a GraphQL sort of interface for a Postgres database. All of those are now contained inside of Docker. Now, Docker file is just a YAML file. It's just a configuration file that tells Docker, I want to create I want to create containers myself. I don't want to rely upon somebody else's one. I want to do it myself. Docker files tell Docker exactly how that's going to work. So if we take a look at this here is my Docker file. I just say, hey, start with the base one with this image, the Docker image called Rust, version 1. Run this command on top of it to customize it just a little bit. Create a directory inside of there. Change your working directory into there. Run this command whenever we run the container, whenever we create a container from the image. Run this command and make sure that you expose port 8000 so that I can actually do something with it, because it's kind of important. And Docker Compose is a file that basically says, hey, you have a bunch of Docker files and Docker images. Now put them all together into like one command. So that way I don't have to create like, okay, Docker run for Postgres, Docker run for GraphQL, Docker run for my API. That would just get really not great really quickly. So Docker Compose is pretty awesome here. Now, does that answer your question, Curve? So let's do a Docker ps-a so we can get the real name. It's going to be this. Wait for it there, and it is stopped. Okay, so Docker start that. Then, so it started the container for it. Now I want to connect into it so I can like take a look at what's going on inside. So we're gonna do Docker run Docker exec it that bin bash. Bash. It's not running. It stopped already. I have to do it really fast. So start with that. No. Okay, it died. Let's see. Is it even possible for me to start this? I don't think it is. So let's just do this manually. Is there a network that I can join? Docker network ls. Okay, this is the network that Docker Compose is sort of like setting up for me. So I want to connect my stuff inside of here. You do front-end development, mostly React. Awesome. So it's in my opinion that Docker is sort of like just a little bit lower level than some of the other backend tools that you're probably familiar with. So like Webpack and having to like run various linters on like in Node.js. Those type of stuff are like what I would call front end backend. They're the backend for the front end, but like they're you don't have to go too deep. Docker is like one level more than that, but you can still use Docker to help you with front end stuff. Like you can throw all your front end code inside of Docker for like easy testing and basically just making sure that the environment is the same across everybody's computers. So I would recommend learning the basics of Docker. I don't really think you need to go too far into it though, to be very successful in front end development. Okay, point collector API. What are we doing here? I want to now connect in. So we're gonna do a Docker run. Let's just do this --rm again. I need to tell it. We're gonna go to Ubuntu and override with bin bash. That's gonna be fine. Let's also connect in with -it. And I need to tell it to connect to a very specific network. So this, I want to be in this network, which I think is something like network, but let's go find out. So Docker run reference and network settings. Okay, so I want --network equals, and then that's what I'm going to be using. Okay. With quotes. So equals this thing. So I just spun up this entire container. It's as if I have an entire Ubuntu box running inside of this image here. Well, hi, you coming over to say hi? No? My hands are too cold? I'm sorry. Okay, so we have this here. Do I have Telnet? I don't have Telnet. So if I want to like connect into a port to see if that thing is up and running yet, what are my options? Telnet is usually the thing I think about. So if I want to like install something, I would have to do like a sudo apt update first. Sorry, I don't need sudo because we're running as root already. So it's just apt update. Apt update. Okay, and then I want to do a apt apt install telnet. I don't get tab autocomplete, so let's just do an apt search telnet. Make sure it's what I think it is. Here, the basic telnet client. That sounds about right. So we're going to use apt install telnet. Yes, I want to continue. Okay, so I've got that. Telnet now exists for me and I can start using it. So let's take a look at, oh no, we don't have any man pages. So telnet-h, here, usage. So telnet, well, that's not super helpful, but port and host name is what I'm really looking for here. So if I can do telnet, host name is database, and port is 5432. Connected to database. So I successfully connected in, meaning that that port is open. Escape character is that. Now what I want this to do is auto exit for me as soon as that's done. So I need to look up telnet, basically just like, I just want the man page. No automatic login. Maybe that would be good. I wanted to like auto exit out, essentially. Now, I guess like maybe there's other things we can use that will besides telnet to check a port, but this is just what I'm used to. I wonder if there's a different, I wonder if there's something slightly different than telnet to use. Because I'm not seeing that. Is there any other references here that we can use? There's telnet probe. What about that? Port like probe. If it succeeds, it'll be a 0. Otherwise, it is non-zero. So we can use that in a very simple synchronous loop. So let's take a look at telnet probe, see if that works for us. So first of all, did that come with telnet? So it does not look like it. So we can do apt search telnet probe. Let's search for telnet again and see if we could find that. So there's that telnet that we were looking at. I'm not seeing like telnet probe that we can install here that way. We can try I guess like telnet probe. I can also do maybe just a search for port, see if we can find something like that. Let's do port.
And I was like, that's cool.
This might be too many things here. Normally it doesn't take this long to do the search through apt. Usually it's really fast. My worry here is that there's like just thousands of these. Can you access your Windows host file system if you start an Ubuntu container or the container is completely isolated? So yes, you can. So there's something called like a volume bind, where you can bind a directory or a file in the host system to the contained sort of like image. And that's actually what I've been doing here is I've been binding a, there's two things, like one I bind a file and then one I bind a folder in. By default, they're going to be read-write, so things in the container could then read-write back out to your host system, but you can also tell Docker to make it read-only, so it's a little bit safer for you. But yes, you can absolutely do that. Generally speaking, you want to give the minimum amount of bindings in there. You don't want to like just say have root access to my entire computer. That's a security violation. But maybe like root access to the project could work out. Okay, so let's just go look for this. It's like I want Linux. I want to like script port availability on another system. That's like a different system. Oh, test if remote port is open. Okay. So looks like this is, so echo quit, telnet, server port. Wait, that's the question. Oh, netcat will do it. Oh, netcat. See about netcat. So apt search netcat. TCP/IP Swiss Army knife. Let's do it. So apt install netcat. So the way that they're doing here is like nc. So if I do nc help, okay, so nc, okay, source port, I want destination port. So port right there. Okay, destination port. So if I do nc, if I just do this, nc database 5432. You take over standard in. So you're just sitting there waiting for me to do something. What if I do 5431? So that's, oh, okay. So that's unopened. That actually hangs. Okay, that's good to know. So then I want you to be interval, TTL, time to live. Can I just do -q 1 second? No. We could do a timeout maybe, so W1. Okay, so W1, so that times out after 1 second, even if it's been open for me. So that's good to know. So then we want to like potentially do this in an if statement here. So we can do an if. We're gonna have this command. So if nc-w1 database. Actually, don't need this bracket open. Database 5432. Okay, so if this, then echo port is open, else echo port is closed. B. Port is open. Okay, so if we come back to here and I set this to 5431, port is closed. So this should be pretty easy. We can create our own wait for it very easily using netcat here. So let's go ahead and create that for ourselves. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of here. And like normally, I probably want to do this as like my own. I think I can. I think what we can do is create our own repository and just do this really easily there. And then it'll just be a command that's running in Docker Hub. So that's easy enough for us. Let's come in here, go to GitHub. You logged me out, GitHub. Okay, hold on. I'll use it in my other browser. All right, so I want a brand new repository. Let's put this in Brooks builds. We'll call this wait for port. So this, okay, wait for port, this Docker image that waits for a port to open. I'll make this public. I don't know if I need that. Sure, it can be. Okay, so I've got that over there. Let's head back to you. And now I want to create a new code space for the wait for port. I'll create a new code space for this. All right, so we got basically nothing in here, but we know what we need to do. We need to set up a Docker file and sort of like move through with like the exact same thing that we did previously. So we're going to create a Docker file here. We can go ahead and install some of the things that we have locally. So Codespaces installed. Shell check might be good, but I don't think I really need it for that. I think what I want is, oh, you don't have any. Okay, so we're gonna get Docker essentially. And that's it. Okay, so if we remember correctly, it was from base image. So we're gonna just use Ubuntu. Latest is fine here. And we're gonna have a run. For our run, we're going to use apt update and apt install netcat, but we have to do a -y to say, and I don't want apt, I want this to be apt get. Apt is great for interactive usage, but apt get is best for scripting. Okay, so apt-get this, after that's run, I then want to probably have like the command that's going to run the port thing. So what is that going to look like? Is that going to be... Don't think it's going to be command. It's going to be, because I don't want to overwrite it when I hand it the new things. I want it... Well, I guess it could rely on an environment variable. So once we have that, we're going to run. Oh, it wouldn't be run. It would be a command. Okay, so command, we have our, we're gonna say nc dash wait for, we can do like, how many seconds does the port need to be up in a row? Let's just say like 5 seconds. Then the location of where it's going to go to. So in this case, that needs to be like the actual URL that we're checking. So URI, and then the port. So port. So that's what I want to sort of put in here. And that's it. I think this will be nice and simple. So if I save you, Docker is already installed in Codespaces. So if you're using GitHub Codespaces, super simple. You're already set up and going. If you don't have Docker installed, obviously you need to install that first. So I'm going to do a docker build -t. I think, hold on. Because I'm actually going to post this online. I do want to double check what my, am I certain super blurry? That's weird. Was I blurring the other one? Fine. Yeah, you opened up down there. I didn't want you to open up down there. Okay, so I do have a Docker hub. Where is it? Thing. There it is. Okay. Yes, my username is Brookcirker on there. Okay. I just wanted to double check that really quickly. So are you, nope, you bring me, go back there and you do that. And now I can go back to main. Interesting. Okay. I am nice and clear on my OBS window. Am I just sending this out at like really low resolution? Am I like super blurry to you, or is it just my my preview window? Okay. Okay, so we're gonna do docker build -t Brookcirker slash, we're gonna call this wait for port, and then dot. So it's gonna build this Docker file for us. It failed. What happened? Oh, I need to apt-get. Oops. This is and apt-get. Let's do that again. There it is. Installing. Okay, failed again. Apt-get did update twice. Why did I do update twice? There. Update the first time and then install. It's clear. Okay, it's just my my preview window I must have set to like really low resolution for some reason. Because I am super blurry in that one, which is suboptimal. Okay, so now we have this. Let's see if we can use it. So right now, if we'll try something like port 443 on like Google, because that should be open for like HTTPS. Google.com is going to be 443. So if I do docker run, we can just do a --rm. We're going to do this circle, wait for it. Oh, we need to give it some environment variables. There's 2. So URI and port. So URI equals, so let's try and then -e port name or service not known. Okay, so get address info for host. Oh, I don't even have ping in like the code space. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so I don't have that. Do I have to not give it the HTTPS? Can I just do Google? So that was 5 seconds. Now, if I tell you, look for, let's try like localhost 443, that should fail. So that does indeed. Okay, so I want you to wait for a long time before you come up. How would I potentially do this? Probably a while loop. So the way I would do this, I wonder if it should create like a script instead of like a command like this. Instead of like just trying to do like a inline one line script, because that kind of sucks. So if we set these up, then we would have to maybe do like a copy and an add. Okay, so let's do touch. We'll have like a run.sh. Then we'll have to do a volume. Let's create like data as, we'll call this code. Then we'll do a copy. So source is this run. So I want run.sh, and the destination is going to be /code/run.sh. After that, I do want to make sure that it has the right permissions. So we're going to do a run chmod plus x. Oh, we need a work directory. So /code. Okay. Run.sh. Then our command is going to be run.sh. It's now in run.sh. If I do something like just say echo hello world, we have to rebuild this. And if I rerun you, run.sh not found. Okay, so let's try. Override this and go see what we found in here. There is a run.sh. I wonder if I probably have to do like a bash-e. So it exists there. Now this is different than the volumes. I'm copying the file over, so I'm not setting up a connection in, which is a little bit more secure. So I want to, can I just do /? Run it sh? There we go. We got our hello world out. So I can continue to sort of like update our run.sh and like make this work. So we know that we have netcat. We know that that exists. So I should be able to do things like, and just run netcat. So let's do the wait, like the wait time. We can set this to be 5. We're probably not going to have like a timeout. Should we have an error type thing? I don't know. Maybe we just have it like sit there forever. So here's the idea. We're going to loop through and wait until it finds something. Like, did it find it? So let's install a shell. Let's install the shell linter. I think it's called shell check. So there's a while, a do while. Yeah, I forget. There's several different loops that we can use in shell scripts that, oh, you know what? The biggest thing. The shebang. So the shebang tells it, hey, when you run this file, what is the executor that we're going to use? So in this case, we're going to use bin bash. Okay, we're going to set this environment variable up for ourselves. It's unused, whatever, it's going to yell at us. Okay, so I want to loop through and then we're never going to exit, right? So like while true. So while true, do, and then we have our done there. What are you upset about? Couldn't parse this while loop. Oh yeah, now we want like stuff to happen in our do column. So if nc-w the wait time and then I think, was there anything else? No, I don't think so. So if nc-w wait time, okay, and then the host and the port. Which we see is just going to be, oh, we don't put that in here. So wait time, we'll have host and then port. So if this is successful, then let's not forget the fee. If this is successful, then we're done, right? So we can just go, we can just echo like port port at host is open. You can make this a string. Otherwise, we didn't find anything. We'll just go ahead. Oh, and then let's exit. So we're done. And we're going to exit 0 specifically. We're going to call out that this is a successful exit. Otherwise, if we didn't find it, therefore we got here, we're going to sleep. So we want probably some kind of like sleep time. So how long before we try again? So let's say 5 seconds. So sleep for sleep time. Then it will just move back through the loop, and then we're good to go. Okay. Now, this is just going to run forever unless I have something to open the port with, which I don't have any like open ports here. That'll be interesting. But let's go ahead and try running this. So we'll build this again. And then we'll run this on... Let's run this on Google. Oh, look at that. Okay, so get address information for host. Oh, because I did this as URI. So let's change this to host. I kind of like the idea of host a little bit more. Oh, look at that. I can't control C. That's a problem. So we should probably have like a count for like the maximum number of times we're gonna try this before we well, just bail. So let's max tries. Let's set this to, I don't know, like, so 10 times 5 would be 50 seconds. 50 seconds sounds about right. Maybe we can like override that too, like set that up somewhere else. Let's see. We do while. Let's see. At addition and math is difficult. Is like weird in Bash. I want to count the number of tries. So we're gonna have current try equals 0, let's say. So that'd be 11. Then unless I do an if else, let's see. We're gonna do an if current try. So if current try is less than max tries, then actually we should probably check to see if we're at there, right? So if current try is equal to max tries, then we're done. So then echo maximum tries, or time, we'll just do like a timeout. Timed out, waiting for port to open. And we'll exit 1. So that'll be a failure. And then we'll go ahead and feed that. If we get to here, we're fine. So now we do need to increment the current try, which I never remember how to properly do. So let's do bash script increment variable. Okay, there's this plus and minus operators here. Okay, so we can do that. So let's double check how this works here. So if I say like test equals 0. We'll do test equals +1, did he say? Then echo test. Oh, look at that. Okay. That. Oh, okay, that didn't work. Oh, would it be okay? Hold on. Is it test equals test +1? Or test +1? Ooh, okay. There we go. That's how to do it. Okay, so it's this $sign. That's a fun one, but very doable. Okay, so come back to here. We're gonna do a current try is now going to be equal to this entire thing. So we have our current try +1, which is exactly like what we have here. Wait. Oh yeah. No $sign when we're setting equal. So we're overriding current try and we're setting that up for us. I don't think this updates it. So I do think we need to reset that. Okay, and then we sleep for the sleep time and then we go again. So let's try this again, but let's set our max tries to like 2. So this will be 10 seconds. If it fails, and it'll be sleep time. Let's do an else here. So let's do a time else. Echo still waiting for port to open. Okay, still waiting for port to open. Okay, so try this again. Docker build -t. Docker run. Okay, so dash e, we have host equals google.com. We have port equals 443. And then we have that. Okay, so it is open. And then if we fail this, so if it's like 2, it's not printing out what that port is, but it did time out. So that part is working. So I'm happy with that. Why are you not working? So still waiting for port. Oh. Port. So if we do this again, now what's interesting is that this wait is making it like wait regardless if it's open or closed, but that's fine, I think. Okay, so if we run u, so let's actually change this to be like a little bit more reasonable. Let's say that our max tries is gonna be 500 max tries. Our sleep time is gonna be 1. We're gonna wait for 1 second each time. And our wait time is gonna be maybe like 1 second. So we'll wait for 500 seconds, which is 5 minutes, which is a lot of time. And I think this will work as expected. Let's go ahead and rebuild this. And we'll rerun this with Google. Oh, 442. Oops. So that should really be 443, right? So this is gonna wait 500 seconds. I don't have the ability to cancel it. I don't know why I can't control C this. So I have to kill you. Actually, I don't really have to kill you, do I? I could open up another terminal and then kill it that way. So I have to do a docker stop both of you. And then let's make sure you're going to 443. Make sure you work. There we go. Okay, so it's open. So now what I want to do is I want to do a docker login. How does this login work? I haven't never given this my credentials. And also, why are you storing this unencrypted? Come on. I don't know. This is a brand new code space. This is kind of weird that, okay, hold on. Put it up here so you can't see it. I want to go see what the heck who it thinks I am. So, home codespace.docker config.json. So I want to take a look at that. What does it think that I am? Oh. I see. So nobody here watching happens to work at GitHub, do they? I have a bug to report. Yeah. Docker log out. Docker log in. There we go. Now it's asking. Okay, so now I can put in my, so, so Docker login. I put in my username, and now I'm going to put in my password. It's been forever since I've used this account, so let's see if it works. That's the wrong one. That's the right one. Okay, they store all that stuff. Login succeeded. Okay. So now I should be able to do a Docker deploy. I think it's Docker deploy. Okay. Docker help. What are you? Hi. What's up? You wanna play? All right. Oh, he probably wants lunch. It's 12 o'clock. We usually give him lunch. Okay, so I want to deploy this, and then I'll probably be it for the stream. But let's see. Where do I do that? Is it? It's not. Let's see, commands. So there's the build that I've been doing. Push an image or a repository to a registry. Okay, so I want to do a Docker push. Push all tagged images. Docker push options. I don't really care about that. Name tag. Okay, so Docker push that latest is pretty much it. I don't want to say I want to send out a message to those people. At least create a thing like any kind of like, I don't know, help image or something, like help ticket, because that, like, if it really was that and it's not like a timed out or like not a bad auth information, then that's a huge security hole for them. So I need to let them know. So Docker push that. Okay. So it's going to prepare for this. This is going to go to my site. So we're going to come back up to Docker Hub, and we're going to look for my things. I have some old stuff that I've created in here a long time ago that I haven't like really looked at, but here is my new Docker wait for port. So if we take a look, the command is latest. Woo. Okay, so what I can do now is take this Brook Zerker wait for port. We can come back to you, and we're gonna say image is wait for port. Don't have to have this entire command. We do need to have the environment. And if we remember correctly, it's going to be host is going to be database. Port is going to be 5432. And so GraphQL is going to depend on wait for database, which is going to wait for this to run up. So let's actually have this wait for database depends on, database. We just need to be like, have Docker know that it's up in order for it to like be able to start connecting into it. So if we run this, let's see, is there anything else? We need to take you down. And so Docker Hub is sort of like GitHub. It's just a repository of these like inside. It's kind of like operating systems with code on them. It's really cool. Docker compose down. And we're gonna go up now, but with that wait for it thing. So here's our wait for database. Wait for database is like still yelling at us for waiting for 432 to open. Here it is, port at database open. So it exits. But unfortunately, my GraphQL still exited early. So that didn't work. I think I need to learn more about like when this considers the port, like the console to be running, because I think it says like it's running the thing, but really I need for it to like wait just a little bit longer for this thing to go. So we're probably gonna have to do that one next time. And so to remind myself of that, let's go ahead and go to our README here and just say, the plan. We need to fix wait for database to, fix GraphQL. So fix Docker compose GraphQL service to actually wait for database. Bug and wait for service not really waiting. So we may have to do just a little bit more research to sort of understand how that works. All right, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I know we didn't really do any Rust code, but we did a lot of Docker-based stuff, which I think is really good. We'll eventually figure out the entire wait for it thing, and then that will be all good and dandy. So with that, I hope that you have a great rest of your Sunday, a great week. Christmas is coming up, so if you do celebrate that, have a great Christmas. I do Sunday streams right now. I don't really have like the time, unfortunately, to do my morning streams. So I'll basically next weekend Sunday is my next planned stream. But then if you just sort of follow the channel and you have the notifications on, if I do any random streams, then you'll get notified. All right. Thank you once again. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.